everyone and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Matilda and I make videos about books, reading, writing and other things that tickle my fancy. Today I'm standing in front of our beautiful new rainbow shelves and series in the bottom, but let's not talk about those. And I'm going to share with you the books I bought in May. Now this is the first book haul I'm putting up on this channel. I have never made any before, or maybe I did back before I reset my channel back in like 2012. But today I'm here with a book haul. I'm going to share with you some books I bought in May and I'm very excited to get to it. So let's go. I want to preface this by saying that I have bought 30 books, which I know is a lot, and I in no way mean to brag about what I'm doing here today. I just bought these books, I want to share them with you, and that's what I'm doing. I did buy all these books from World of Books. I will leave a link in the description down below. I am in no way sponsored, but I wanted to share my experience. So World of Books is a website where you can buy books secondhand in varying conditions. Anywhere from very good or like new to good and acceptable. I don't know if they have anything worse than acceptable. I didn't check. All of the books I ordered are either good or very good. Now I do have a feeling I'm going to say, oh, I'm very excited about this one, I'm very excited about this one 30 times in this video. So I'm going to say now that I'm very excited about all of these books. That is the reason I bought them. And try to not say it about every single book I hold up. These are again 30 books I bought, all of which are in used condition. Some of them look better than others, but I think they're all going to be perfectly fine to read. So let's go. There's no particular order to these books, and I'm going to talk a little bit at the end about how I found the experience of actually shopping for books on World of Books. But I've blabbed for too long already. Let's just show you the books. I should also say that I've not read any of these books yet, so I'm not going to give any reviews on them. I'm not going to give any opinions on them, apart from like on the condition of them. First up, we have Never Always Sometimes by Adi Al-Said. I don't believe this book has ever been opened. This spine is completely crease-free and there's like no wear or tear at all on this book. And that's the same for multiple of them, but this one I don't think it has ever been opened. This book is about two friends, Dave and Julia, who made a list of things that they are never ever going to do in high school. And suddenly Dave finds that there are certain things on this list he actually wants to do. So when Julia suggests that they actually do every never on this list, he agrees to do so. Next up we have Solitaire by Alice Oseman. This is the first novel of hers that I have. I did read Heartstopper, the first volume, back in May this month, but this is the first novel of hers. It has extremely orange spine. I don't even know if that shows up on the camera, but it practically glows in the dark. I believe this book is not a retelling of Catcher in the Rye, but it does have certain connections with that book, I believe. I have not read Catcher in the Rye, but I am very excited to get Solitaire. I really did love Heartstopper, and while that is a graphic novel, I hope that the writing style of Alice Oseman bleeds over into this one. Next up we have Faceless by Eliza Sheenmel? I am really sorry that I never know how to pronounce any author's last names, sometimes not even first names. This book is about Macy, who suffers an accident where her face is partially burnt off and she gets a face transplant, and she has to deal with the aftermath of how do people perceive me now, I don't recognize myself. And it says, as Macy discovers how much her looks shaped her relationship to the world, she has to redefine her own identity and figure out what lucky really means. Really excited to get to this one. Next up we have The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed, and this is about three girls who live in the same city, I believe, and basically have their own issues, as do we all. But one of them has moved into a house where another girl recently lived and she was raped. But these three girls, the three main characters, come together to sort of avenge her rape. So I think it's gonna be good, but I think it's gonna be quite heavy to read because rape is a very heavy topic. Next up we have Geeky Ella by Ashley Poston. I've heard a lot of people talking about this book, as well as the sequel, which is called The Princess and the Found Girl, I think. That's actually not a sequel, it's a companion novel, but I figured I'd read this one first. I, again, don't really think this has ever been read because it's in perfect condition. This book is basically about conventions and cosplay and fandom and all those good things, and I've heard very many good things about it. I also like how the tagline is, anything can happen once upon a con. Funny. Next we have Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer, and this book is about a girl who writes letters to her dead mother and leaves them on the mother's grave, and a boy who is doing community service finds these letters and the two of them start writing back and forth to one another. Very interesting concept. I hope I will enjoy it because it sounds like something I very well might, and I look forward to giving this a go, hopefully this summer. It really is kind of tricky finding the books on the shelf right now because I don't remember what all these 30 books look like, so excuse me for a moment. I had left this book over in a pile over there, so no wonder I didn't find it. This is Where Rainbows End by Cecilia Ahern. I think you pronounce the H, I'm not actually sure. This is the book that was then turned into the movie Love Rosie, I think, which I haven't seen, but I've seen the trailer for back when it came out and it looked pretty good. This is about two friends called Rosie, Love Rosie, and Alex, who are best friends, and they've been together forever. They've been best friends since childhood, but now Alex and his family is moving away to the US, I believe. They currently live in Ireland. His family and him are moving away, and Rosie gets some news that means that she will definitely have to stay in Ireland. I think it's gonna be sad. I also think that this book is entirely told as chats and emails and stuff, which is a format I do enjoy if done well, and it's something I'm currently incorporating into my own book that I'm working on, April and Other Fools. I talked about that a bit in the currently writing tag, so I'll put that up in the cards, but yeah. I look forward to this. It's a very big book and it's very heavy. It's not actually that big, it's like 430 pages, but it feels big. Next up we have The Hamilton Affair by Elizabeth Cobbs. I am a big Hamill fan. I didn't even plan this, but I am wearing my Scarlet shirt that I got in London when I saw the musical 2 years ago now. Either way, I am a big Hamill fan. You can even see the big Bible up there of Hamilton goodness. And I look forward to reading this. This is basically Hamilton's life story told as a novel. It's about Alex and Eliza, and I look forward to reading it. Next up, we have The Names They Gave Us by Emery Lord, and this is about a girl called Lucy who has great plans for the summer. She's gonna hang out with friends, spend time with her family, all that good stuff. But then her mom's cancer comes back, and Lucy finds herself volunteering as a counselor at a camp. I think it's a Christian camp, I'm not sure, where she of course meets a boy, because why not? And it goes from there, basically. I'll hopefully get to this summer because it sounds like a summer book, but it sounds like kind of a heavy summer book. Next up, we have Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. And this is a book about a girl with schizophrenia who has a really hard time distinguishing what is real and what is not. And I've heard good things about this. It also has a pretty good Goodreads rating, so I hope it's gonna be good. Next up we have It Only Happens in the Movies by Holly Bourne. This book is about Audrey, who works at a cinema and meets a boy named Harry. But she feels like the things that are happening to her and Harry are all things that just happen in the movies and are things really as good as they seem, basically. Next up, we have My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Warga. This is about a girl named Aisel who basically forms a suicide pact with a boy called Roman. It sounds heavy, it sounds like I might cry, but I do think I'll enjoy it. It does sound good. It just doesn't sound like a very, fun, uplifting read. Next up, we have Night Owls by Jen Bennett. This follows Beatrix, who meets a boy named Jack on the Owl, which is the San Francisco night bus, and he is a notorious graffiti artist, and they form a bond over something. I'm not giving very good summaries of these books, partially because there are a lot of books to keep track of, but also because I don't want to know too much before I start reading them. So there's why. If they do sound interesting and you want a better synopsis, I would recommend Goodreads, but I'm just doing quick little snippets because this video is going to be way too long already. Next we have The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout, who I don't think I've read anything by, but I'm not sure. I keep forgetting if I have or not because her name reminds me of Jennifer E. Smith, who I have read, and I keep forgetting if I've actually read anything by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Either way, this book is about Mallory, who's grown up in the foster system and being homeschooled, and now she's going to do her last year of high school in a normal high school. In this high school, she also meets a guy called Ryder, who she knew when she was younger in the foster system, I presume, and they form a connection, or rather the connection they had when they were younger never actually disappeared. And when Ryder's life spirals out of control, Mallory has to decide what to do at that point. Next up we have Our Chemical Hearts by Crystal Sutherland. This is about a guy called Henry who is into movies. He is a hopeless romantic and he falls in love with a girl called Grace. It basically says on the back that Grace isn't your normal, typical leading lady. We'll see how that goes, we'll see if I like it. I wish there was more of a description on the back, but something has made me pick this book up, so maybe I did see a better summary somewhere else. Next up we have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Everyone and their mother has read this book on BookTube, I feel like. I have not, and I don't really grasp what it's about based off the summary on the back, but it does sound interesting. It sounds like something I might shy away from a bit because it is not contemporary. Lately I've been very much in a contemporary mood. However, I do hope to enjoy it. I've heard very good things about it, and maybe it's time for me to delve into something a little bit deeper, a little bit more fantasy. Next up we have Echoes by Laura Tistel. This is about a girl called Mallory, which is the second Mallory of this haul, and she lives two lives. One where she takes care of her brother and her ex-marine father, and the second one where she's a hacker online. She is part of a cyber network called The Forum, where they expose corruption, basically, and suddenly hackers start to go missing, and she gets scared and has to deal with that. I really enjoyed Warcross by Mary Lou, which I know was about a game and not actually hacking as such, but the main character in Warcross did hack into the game. I really liked that aspect of it, and I look forward to reading this. Next up we have Under Rose-Tainted Skies by Louise Gornell. This is about a girl called Nora who has agoraphobia, and she basically just stays inside her house. Then a boy moves next door called Luke, and they strike up a relationship. Next up we have Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This is a sequel to Cinder, which I read back in April and thoroughly enjoyed. I'm very late on this train, but I really loved Cinder, and I'm hoping to really love Scarlet too. I have heard good things about the entire series. I am, like I said, just very late to it, but high hopes, very high hopes. Hoping to get to this soon because I really do want to continue that series and see how it goes. There's a storm outside. I am a little bit scared, but it's fine. It's fine. The door just got sucked close to this room and the window was being weird. Anyway, next up I have Sisters Red by Jackson Pierce. I remember this book being very big when I was doing AuthorTube, BookTube, way back in the day, back in like 2012. This is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, as is Scarlet. Both of them are reimaginations, really. Basically it's about two sisters, Scarlet and Rosie, and countless teenage girls have been murdered in their vicinity, and they are trying to figure out what's behind it. Then we have brooding Silas who shows up. He and Rosie start having these feelings for each other, and Scarlet realizes some things about his back history and his heritage that might be deadly. Next we have Alex and Eliza by Melissa de la Cruz. This is another Hamilton retelling. I look forward to seeing how this one and the Hamilton affair compares, and how they compare to the musical and also the real history, but I'm excited. I need more Hamilton in my life, clearly. Next we have Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This I've heard compared to The Hate U Give by Andy Thomas, which I also haven't read. This is about racism in America, just as The Hate U Give, and this is about Justice, who is an honor student, who's a good kid, and suddenly he's in handcuffs, and you get to find out why, probably, and deal with the racism of it all. I think it's going to be heavy to read, but hopefully good. I have heard good things. I just hope I will enjoy it. Next up we have Extraordinary Means by Robin Schneider. I read her first book, The Beginning of Everything, which is over here, last year I think, and I enjoyed that, and I've now picked up her second one. This might be her third one, I have no idea. This is about a kid called Lane who is sick and he goes to boarding school for sick teens, where he meets Sadie and her friends, and friendships and I presume also romantic relationships form. Next we have A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Bernard. This is about two people called Steffi and Rye. Steffi doesn't speak and Rye can't hear, but they understand each other perfectly and they get along very well. And I like how it says that love isn't always a lightning strike, sometimes it's the rumbling roll of thunder. Then we have Midnight Sun by Trish Cook. This is about a girl called Katie who can't leave her house due to a rare condition. I think it's something to do with being allergic to sunlight. One day though she meets Charlie and everything changes. I don't think her skin condition changes though. Next up we have Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is another fantasy book I've heard very good things about. I also don't really think this one has ever been read because it's in such perfect condition. This story is about a world divided by blood, red or silver. So people have either red blood, they are the common folk, or silver blood, and those are the nobles. It reminds me of a story I started writing a couple years ago called Purple, where people had red blood or blue blood, because blue-blooded nobles and red-blooded commoners, and the people who had one parent from each side ended up having purple blood, and having purple blood was basically not good. I will pick that story back up at some point. That's not what this video is about. This video is about this book and 29 others. I'm really excited to check this out though, not just because it reminds me of one of my own stories, but because I've heard very good things about it and it does sound really, really good. So, hopefully soon. I've said that about very many of these books, haven't I? Thought so. Next up we have Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. This, just like Sisters Red, I remember being big when I was on BookTube many years ago, but I never read it, I never bought it, I never had it. Now it's my turn. This is about Safi, or Sophia, and Isolde, who are witches, and Sophia has this power where she is a truth witch, which means that she can tell the difference between truth and lies. And that's a very bad thing for her to have, very bad magic for her to have, because people are trying to kill her for it, and so she has to hide it. Next up we have the Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. This is about a man called Pat who believes that his life is basically a movie produced by God, and that God will make everything good in the end. He has spent some time in a mental health facility, and now he's out, and no one wants to talk to him about certain things, for example his estranged wife. Heard good things, I've never seen the movie, I've never read the book, I have friends who've read it and liked it, and it's been a few years now since I heard no one talk about it, but hopefully I will like it. And last but not least, we have Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This is a book I heard a lot about a couple of years ago. It was the Costa Book Awards winner back in 2017, so that's probably around the time I heard about it. This is another book that I've heard a lot of people talk about, and I've wanted to read it for quite some time, and now I have it. It is mine. I'm getting a little tired explaining what all these books are about, so I'm just going to read you the back of this one because it's faster, and then I'm going to move on and quickly talk about how I found this experience of buying books from World of Books. Eleanor Oliphant leads a simple life. She wears the same clothes to work every day, eats the same meal deal for lunch every day, and buys the same 2 bottles of vodka to drink every weekend. Eleanor Oliphant is happy. Nothing is missing from her carefully timetabled existence. Except sometimes everything. I've heard good things. I am very glad I read that because I would not have been able to summarize this book on my own. I look forward to reading it. Have you heard me say that before? So these were again ordered secondhand. They are in varying conditions, but all of them are definitely readable. I am not the kind of person who needs my books to look absolutely pristine on my shelves. I don't mind cracked spines and stuff like that, so for me this wasn't a big deal. Again, when I ordered it was listed if the book was in acceptable or good or very good condition, and I think all the ones I bought were good or very good. I agree. I would say these are good or very good conditions. I also did find that the books arrived very quickly. It said they would arrive within 8 to 30 working days because I don't live in the UK, I live in Sweden, so it does take a bit longer for them to arrive abroad, not in the UK. But it was all very quick and easy. I'm filming this on the 29th of May. I ordered them late April, and I received the last of these books yesterday, but not for lack of trying, because they actually arrived to my postal pickup place on the 15th, but I wasn't notified until Monday. So the books did arrive really quickly, it was just the local postal service that isn't doing great at the moment. But all in all, a very good experience. Now they didn't arrive as one big box. They were mostly sent in groups of 5 in postal bags. One arrived on its own, and then I think it was 4 in one to make up for that, but most of them arrived in groups of 5 because that's what fit in one of those bags. It is unfortunate that the books themselves were very cheap, but the shipping was not, because it usually paid shipping per individual book, which is unfortunate, but I think in the end I actually ended up paying less than I would have had I bought all the books new. So there's that. Now, if you've stuck around for this long, thank you so much for watching. I feel like this video has been way too long, and I apologize for the length of it. I would like to thank you very much for watching. If you've watched this far, if you haven't watched this far, still thank you for watching, but you won't see this part, so haha, sucks for you. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you've read any of these books and if you enjoyed them, and if there's anyone you recommend me starting with, because I have a lot to choose from, so I might need some help in that department. I'll be back with another video soon, so I will see you then. Bye!